We've been working on CUDA-Q now for several years, and today I can tell you there's an inflection point happening in quantum computing. As you know, the first physical qubit was demonstrated some nearly 30 years ago. An error correction algorithm was invented in 1995. And in 2023, almost 30 years later, the world's first logical qubit was demonstrated by Google. Now, since then, a couple of years later, the number of logical qubits, which is represented by a whole lot of physical qubits with error correction, the number of logical qubits are starting to grow. Well, just like Moore's Law would, I could totally expect 10 times more logical qubits every 5 years, 100 times more logical qubits every 10 years. Those logical qubits would become better error corrected, more robust, higher performance, more resilient, and of course, will continue to be scalable. Quantum computing is reaching an inflection point. We've been working with quantum computing companies all over the world in several different ways, but here in Europe, there's a large community. I saw Pascal last night. I saw Barcelona supercomputing last night. It is clear now we are within reach of being able to apply quantum computing, quantum classical computing in areas that can solve some interesting problems in the coming years.
Down 50%. So what? A minor setback. Gene. Is that the real Gene? The big bull? Ah, welcome. I like Gene. I speak a little. When I took a trip to Italy, I learned as much as I could in a couple of weeks beforehand, and I did pretty well, I think. I can survive virtually any catastrophe. Won't be pretty. I don't think INQ can go up anymore. He's just given so many shares away that it's like just too kind of cringe. That's why I think people are migrating to like QUBT, because it hasn't gone up much and it's kind of like still a small market cap. Same thing with Rigetti, still kind of a small market cap. The momentum crowd wants excitement. They don't want. Yeah, I do, Andreas. I do. Are you trying to like diss me or something, Pinkham? Yeah, Gene, I don't know. I know you're really bullish. I know you're really, really bullish. I think you and I have like some pretty different interpretations of events. I couldn't believe that call, to be honest, yesterday when he talked about Cisco. That was really wild to me. I thought he probably could have, just let the revenue and earnings speak for itself, right? Cisco never talked like that. Yeah, Valiant also was a serial acquirer, but pretty different. Pharma's like very modular. You can bolt stuff on. Uh, Tech's a little different. You have to actually integrate these acquisitions. I wouldn't do acquisition after acquisition. I think he's more simplest answer there is that he's just wants to convert his overvalued stock price into something real. So he actually gets something, a real company. But I think he probably also believes. I agree with you, Miltich. Yeah, it's kind of like the height of lunacy to talk about you being you're gonna have Cisco's market cap. That's kind of wild. I don't know how he says that with a straight face. I mean, it's important to think big. Yeah, no, it's always good to get a different voice, different opinion, see what other people think. There's never anything wrong with that. Yeah, he called it a 20 bagger. It was very weird. There's no price I'll cover out until the thesis is wrong. Yeah, it's Adam Newman levels of delusion. No, I don't think Jensen's really done a 180. I think he's just trying to be a good steward and statesman. If he started actually doing quantum himself, that would be a 180. He's just trying to be nice. Yeah, he sold all his stock. So why? Well, how is it a? Yeah, I don't know. I I think IonQ is a real scam. Yeah, I don't think he wants to be a bully. I mean, if I had 3 trillion market cap, I wouldn't be either. Which two companies did he invest in, Mark? I mean, when you're the biggest company in the world, it's probably not a good look for you to start shitting on companies. Somebody told him that, and he's like, "Oh fuck, you're right." I don't know what you're talking about, Salik. Do you know what you're talking about, Salik? Yeah, I wouldn't use the word pumping. I mean, I think he's being nice. I mean, you saw his thoughts first before any of this became controversial. You saw his real thoughts. He just said what he really believed.
But quantum computing isn't going to solve all of computing. Quantum computing is specialized in what it can solve, the type of problems it can solve. As you know, quantum is very good at compute-intensive problems that are not very data-intensive, and which is the reason why biology is an example, cryptography is an example, but data processing is not an example for quantum computing. Computer graphics is not a good example for quantum computing. And so, how to arrange 500 guests at an Indian wedding that would be a perfect problem for quantum computing. Now, that problem is either for quantum computers or the mother-in-law. It's one or the other.
Then he had to do some damage control. He went on say like I have been on Wall Street a really long time. I make Wall Street software. So yes, I know how to look those kinds of things up. Do you? Is the question. Yeah, so in Quantum Day, you have 3 hours or 2 hours of his thoughts on Quantum Day. So I don't think you need much more than that. It's pretty clear what he thinks. Of course you don't. I don't even know where to get started with you, Salik. Which stock do you want to look at, Salik? I'll teach you a little bit. I don't think so, Gene. Disagree. Agree to disagree. Yeah, I would be a smart diplomat. Solve some interesting problems. I wanted to know which problem he thought it could solve. I think that's being too generous. Yeah, Zach, it's funny. Yeah, no, I'm trying to pick the guy's brain. No, I'm just, you have, the thing about investing is it's a little like, it's an art and a science, but when you do the scientific parts, you should be as exact as you can. There's some parts of it that you can't be exact on. That's the artistic part. Yeah, I don't think that there are any problems of interest that quantum can solve other than Shor's. So the best way, let me show you probably the best way you can see if there's real interest in quantum is go to just a patent search. Um, Google Patents is kind of not great, so the USPTO is kind of the best place to go. And just type in NVIDIA in this case, and type in a signee name. If you want to use the advanced search, it's quite good if you learn how to use the codes, but it's like learning a programming language. Okay, so here's all of NVIDIA's patents. And shall we go to our model? And if you saw something like NVIDIA qubit array or something like that, that'd be a sign NVIDIA was interested in quantum. But NVIDIA has splashed a lot of money at a lot of stuff. Like they're taking their largest company in the world position, and they're monetizing it. Okay, so here's the patent: 123207071, 123284568, 8851. Let's start putting a couple down. Intelligent refrigerant assisted liquid to air heat exchange for data center cooling systems. Remember, NVIDIA is the largest computing company in the world. The fact they haven't really taken any steps towards quantum is I think, pretty telling. NVIDIA's never going to buy D-Wave. NVIDIA's smart, man. They don't just do acquisitions for anything. I thought it was also really scammy when the IonQ guy was like, LightSync is like Mellanox. Come on, bro. When your machine can add 2 large numbers, let me know. I'll be interested. I'll be your first client. Dynamic assignment of data stream processing in multi-codex systems. Internal solver for articulations in simulation applications. So just go through these patents and see what you see. And you can do the same thing by doing something like this. And we should probably do this a little more regularly, but let's go to US patent search. Let's type in qubit. That's like a really good, I think that's like a really solid search. I hope. We'll see. So type in qubit. There you go, refresh. I don't think quantum's gone 50x quite yet, but so type in qubit and see what's up. So let's open like an IonQ model. Well, I do have conviction in my idea. I don't think Jensen is bullish on quantum, but if your interpretation of his comment was that he's bullish on quantum or NVIDIA's all in on quantum, then I don't know, we just have a difference of opinion. I mean, you think one comment he made is some like seismic change for the industry. It's, you know, the industry has to produce something. So far, the industry hasn't produced anything. Okay, so let me make a new section called IP. And we're going to look at some quantum patents and see. Yeah, no, I know how to search, Matan. I know how to search. Let's try it maybe this way. Yeah, QUBT is 30K in revenue, so not that exciting. Okay, first patent up. This is from, barely read it, SUNY. We're not going to look into this one just because it's an academic patent. It's probably not 100% too interesting, but maybe we'll look at it some other time. Let's look at the next one. Mechanically tolerant couplers. Ooh, that sounds good. Maybe IBM. Yep, good guess. IBM is talking a lot about needing to do these couplers to get scale. We'll read this some point as well. IBM put forth what they said is the only credible roadmap to quantum computing. So there's a lot of insulting each other in this industry. Here's another IBM patent. Sometimes you get lucky on timing, sometimes you don't. I got very lucky on my cassava timing. Pretty bad luck on this timing. But timing's, I think, distributed pretty normally. Okay. Nanoribbon-based quantum dot devices. Not exactly quantum computing. Let's take a look. I'm getting a bunch of messages. Let's see here. Maybe I missed a call or something. Nope, all good. Okay, this is Intel. Quantum dot devices, related methods, semiconductor nanoribbons. Huh, interesting. Okay, we got a antifungal patent. This is more my lane. And here's a superconducting patent. We're not going to do the antifungal. This is Alibaba. Damn. Alibaba's doing quantum? Oh yeah, I knew that. Alibaba's doing superconducting. Pretty funny patent title here. Oh, this is Quantinium. Options, it's called expiry is happening. Something big is happening that day. Yes. Options expiry happens that day. Okay, so generally these patents come out once a week. And it looks like there weren't too many quantum patents, quite frankly, for the week of 610. In fact, IBM had 3 out of the 7 patents that week. It was just 1 week, but kind of funny. Let's go to the next week. These are patent applications. We should do these too. But right now I want to look at issued patents. Here's the next batch of issued patents. They were on 6.3. Reducing unitary error. That's a really big deal. Let's see who got this patent. That's a big one. If it's real. Rigetti. Reducing unitary error in a quantum computation system. Let's see if they have any data in here. This is the Bloch sphere. The famous Bloch sphere. I'm just short. I don't really trade too many options. I definitely don't know everything. That would be a cool thing to know, though. I love to be omnipotent. That would be sweet. I'm just acoustic. Yeah, I think just say, look, you just have to understand, like, there's a method to that madness, and over-interpreting it. I mean, if you want to interpret the interpretations If you want to interpret the wrong interpretations of people looking at data, I don't know. I'm not gonna play that game. You can. Some people work that way. I work a little differently. But yeah, pension funds don't actively say, "Ooh, I like this stock." They buy indices, they do stuff like that. It's not really like a guy there sitting there being like, "Oh, I studied this stock really well. I really want to buy it." I don't see any reduction in rates specifically here. Maybe this is like just an extension of their tiling approach, so it could be a part of a family of patents, but we will read this at some point. This is looks like non-quantum-y. But do you guys know what unitaries are? I'm just gonna copy paste. Any big Tilray bulls? It's coming back! Unitary. Are they only phase operators? The word unitary is actually somewhat vague. You want to ask ChatGPT? In that context, I think you might be right, but the word unitary can mean a lot of things. What does it mean to reduce unitary error in a quantum system? Or I should have wrote quantum computing system. Yeah, so this is more of the gate interpretation of unitary gates, like not, but also your point of phase rotating. Yeah, it's also about unitary vectors. So vector that, let's see here, hold on. Yeah, all quantum gates are unitaries, including Hadamard and rotations, and not just not, but well, all gates, period. They all have to be unitary. Mr. T, I'm not 100% sure. I think someone told Jensen that it probably it's not good PR to shit on quantum. Right, exactly. I don't think you can really do much to hedge on IBM or something like that. I think if you can get long quantinium, maybe that's a hedge. So unitary matrix, the transpose returns you to the identity matrix. Time evolution is unitary. The evolution of a closed quantum system is governed by a unitary operator. Conserves probability, that's the key thing. And you can reverse it too. So here's the classic gates. There's more unitary gates in quantum than there are in general computing. Yeah, quantum sounds cool, right? Welcome to my life, Brennan. Welcome to my life. I could take a lot of pain, buddy. A lot of momentum. A lot of momentum. You know, look, you're at Citadel, you're at Millennium. Everybody has the same. Smart investors all do the same shit. Every smart investor I know who has a good track record is either short quantum or says that sounds like a great short. I'm not involved in it. I don't know a single smart investor that says this is a great long. But the problem is crowding effects. The crowding effects are very damaging. Same thing happened in 2000. Alejandro is the gay homie, baby. Yeah, CoreWeave bubble may be popping. It's not bullish for momentum. A couple of these other stocks look not so hot. Palantir's a good tell though. Palantir's up a lot. Fartcoin's $1.40. What? Damn.